Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our webinar. Today our topic is social media engagement, presented by Margaret Shelley. My name is Sarah Letourneau, and I'm the Administrative Assistant for the Ontario Network of CAPC CPNP Projects. Sydney is right behind me, helping me out, and I'm very happy to be here. The land acknowledgement. The Ontario Network of CAPC CPNP Projects acknowledges and thanks the First Peoples of the territories where we work and serve and other Indigenous peoples for sharing this land in order for us to come together today. And now I would like to introduce Margie. The floor is yours, Margie.
Hi, my name is Margie Shelley. I work in Haliburton County for Search Community Services. I've worked with the CAPC and CPNP groups for approximately 4.5 years or so, close to 5, and have lots of experience around what drew participants in. And I recognized over time that using technology and social media was, for our area anyway, quite conducive to engaging the populations we needed to reach. So I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I have my social service worker diploma. I'm a life coach, and I recently acquired my family mediation certification. And last year I also got my infant mental health certification through Sick Kids as well. So I love all the learning I'm doing through all the networks that I have as well. So I will now bring up my my PowerPoint and share the information that I think is important. Did it come up okay, Sydney and Sarah?
Yeah, you look good.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so I'm just going to share about how I use social media and how I started using social media and technology for my groups. And I'll tell you a little bit about Haliburton County too. So Haliburton County, as you can see on the map, our groups here in Haliburton Village, there's Haliburton County, which is a very vast area, as you can see on the map. And then we have Haliburton Village, which is as central as we can get. And you can see by the stats, we have approximately 18,000 people who live here. That's only our permanent residents. We go over double that in the summer season. And you can see how big we are as far as square kilometers compared to Toronto and the population difference. And then so for the density, I mean, we have approximately 4.5 people per square kilometer, whereas Toronto, just under 900. So a vast difference in how big we are and how spread out our population actually is. And we have absolutely no public transportation as well. We do have cabs, which I'll go into a little bit, which are astronomically expensive. We do have some transportation for those who have disability or who are older, but not really. And we do have a, it's called a transportation sharing, like a drive share or a ride share program. But because it's not really monitored and nobody's, like it's not like Uber where you have to make sure you're insured, etc. It's just anybody can use it. Our moms refuse to use it because there's no accountability, which I don't blame them for. So what we provide to the groups is gas funds or cab fare. Like I said, cab fare is very expensive, so we can't provide that to anybody who would come. So we try to make sure that if a cab has to pick up 2 people one morning, if possible, they can do one route and pick up 2 people. Isn't always feasible, but we try. We give gas funds to a large number of participants. There's only a few who have ever said, no, it's okay, I don't need it, because we service that population. We have an option to be included on a list at a local drugstore for a discount. So there's a small local pharmacy that has agreed that those who are on our list of participants, they will give them a discount for health-related products. And so I have had Not too many participants take advantage of that, but some have clearly because they've shared it. So I'm not sure exactly what on the list would be there for a discount. All I know is that it's highly appreciated. And our CAPC group gets a $7 milk voucher, and it's provided through our local food bank. Very grateful to them. Our CPNP group, again, gas funds or cab fare, if at all possible. Again, the option to be included on a list at a local drugstore pharmacy. But we give them a $10 grocery gift card. So many of our participants say that they actually save them so that they've got 40 bucks after 4 weeks, and then that will get them a little more, or they put it towards formula or diapers specifically, or what have you. We don't monitor what they buy with it. We give them the liberty to choose what they think they need most for their families. And if we didn't provide gas funds or cab fare, most of our participants probably wouldn't be able to spend at all. We even have some participants say that the only day they can make it into town is those days we actually give gas money or cab fare, and after group, they actually run their errands or go grocery shopping, etc. So it's a lifesaver for some of our participants. So the traditional strategies I originally used for marketing and awareness when our numbers were getting lower, I put posters up in the community. And that would be like at grocery stores, laundromats, anywhere I could think of that somebody who we would need to reach to or would like to reach may be. I shared my information in meetings and any materials with doctors' offices, the health unit, the midwives, elementary schools, child development agencies, food banks, early on centers, daycare centers. And there's probably a few here that I haven't mentioned. I just can't think of them right now. But I just reach out to any agency, organization, or business maybe even that may be in connection with some of the participants we may be able to reach out to. Newspaper ads, again, put ads out in those. And then radio ads as well, we've tried. So in about a year and a half ago or so, our numbers were dwindling again because they're roller coasters, as I'm sure most of our groups do. And then the above strategies weren't proving as effective as we would have liked them to. It was taking us a little bit too long to actually reach the women or families that we wanted to reach. So the first thing I did was get a cell phone, because most of our participants have a cell phone, as I'm sure a large majority of yours do as well. Those with a cell phone can often only afford a text plan, which is very convenient. But it is difficult to keep participants engaged if they can only contact you via an office landline phone, because they can't afford to call. Or if they do, it causes them a higher phone bill, which we don't want to do. And we put them in that precarious position that if we do call them, or if they want to call, but that's their only avenue of connecting with us, then it's a higher cell phone bill for them. So then in their minds, they have to weigh the balance of, do I call and somehow figure out how to pay for this? So it wasn't a very, it's an uneasy situation for a parent to be in. And texting is also so much more convenient for quick questions, or to share information, or a phone number or contact name for a resource that's needed. Because with a phone call, they have to write it down. With a text, it's actually on their phone. They don't lose that information. So that's actually super convenient for me to share resources and contact info for agencies or organizations that could benefit one of our families. So I asked the participants, we've been using cell phones for a while, how they felt about it. And they said that it's much easier than calling. They get instant information from me, whether it's about what topics we're covering with the upcoming session, if there's a weather cancellation, or because Haliburton County is so big, the weather might be great in Haliburton Village, but maybe half an hour away. We've had some families actually come from almost an hour away. They text me first to say, what's the weather like there? Because here it's not good. Or they'll say, the roads here are fine, but I've heard they're not so great in your area. So it's good for them to be able to access that information in real time. And then also for location. So in the summertime, often we will have our group at the park. and or maybe even outside the church where we hold our groups, just in the shade. So it's good for them to understand that, okay, where am I going today, or where am I meeting everybody? It's also more private than calling. So if they would like some information and say they're in a situation where maybe the relationship isn't conducive to being really open about how you're reaching out, sending a text to me and requesting information, and me just sending a quick text back allows them to have that information instantly, but without anybody knowing what they're texting about. So it's more private that way. There's more opportunity for communication. So it's so much easier, again, for somebody to text me throughout the week whenever they feel they have a question than it is for them to have to wait until the day of the group, or to have to figure out when do I call, or can I call, or all that stuff. It's great for emergencies. Again, if somebody leaves something behind, or a mom breaks down in her vehicle on the way home and she needs to text me, and maybe one of the other participants can stop, and it's just great for instant communication. And it's easier for attendance confirmations for me as well. So usually my group's CAPC runs on Wednesday, CPNP runs on Friday. So those mornings, I text them all to say, please confirm attendance to group today. A large majority of time, I'll get, yes, I can make it today. No, I have an appointment. No, the kids are sick, et cetera, et cetera. And even if I get a few, I can't make it today, and I haven't actually received a response from some other participants, I still prepare for the ones that didn't respond. There are times maybe where they can't use their phones for whatever reason. They're not working, they've dropped them, they've had to share it with another partner. I've had that happen. My boyfriend or my sister had to use my phone, so I didn't see it. So I'm always prepared for anybody who does not say anything. I always make sure that I'm prepared for them to come to group, whether or not they've responded. So that works really well for me too, not just the participants. And since I knew that many of our vulnerable families are avid thrifters due to necessity, although it's a fun thing to do, a lot of us do it now. I know myself, I love doing it. I decided to post our ad on the local buy and sell Facebook page. So this is what I posted, a snapshot of what the first page looks like. As you can see, these are all over the place. I live in Barrie, so there's several there that I follow. And so I thought I'd put our ad up there, and got instant responses almost. So what happened? The moms who had participated in the group in the past tagged women they knew under the ad. And I had women tag me and ask questions, whether, what the age of the children are that need to attend a group, what the group is all about. And this made me realize that we needed CAPC and CPNP Facebook pages so that anybody could reach out to us specifically about our programs. Women also then use the Messenger tool, which is a private communication tool that's in Facebook. I think most of us are probably familiar with that. And they would message me privately with specific questions regarding eligibility, etc. And I could see that Facebook was an opportunity for group awareness and marketing, as well as engagement with current and future participants. And it has become one of the most effective ways to engage them and to get word of mouth out there for more participants. It has worked very, very well. So I created 2 Facebook pages, one for CAPC and one for CPNP. At this time, I generally post the topics as an event for each date, so that any other participants can actually just log on and say, okay, today this is happening. Although oftentimes they just text me and say what's going on today. And I also provide important information, links to other resources, or I put something funny or inspirational up, something about, the toddler life or the mom life, because sometimes just breaking the seriousness of life makes it a little more lighthearted and fun. So on Special Delivery Club, which is what our CPNP group is called, I post information around pregnancy and birth, breastfeeding, infant mental health issues or supports, And I always make sure that whatever link I'm going to post, that I've researched it. I've looked at it to see where it's coming from. And I try to make it specific to our area if possible. So if it's an agency locally that can provide assistance to families with certain things, or maybe they're running a program that I think that our families would be interested in, etc. So that's why I do that for both of the groups. And then Way to Grow is our CAPC group. And that's geared towards more of toddlers, preschoolers, and dads can attend this group as well, caregivers, babysitters. So again, I post similar information, only it's geared more towards women or families who have kids who are not infants anymore. So they're not possibly still breastfeeding, but they're walking possibly, and then there's other challenges that come with that age group. So the moms rarely comment on those Facebook pages or tag anyone, but I can tell some of them are checking it, and some of them share the information as well. Or they may even ask something about it when they attend a group. I saw this, where can I get that information, or where did you get that from, etc. So although it doesn't look like it's a busy Facebook page, I can tell that they're looking. They're just not commenting or doing much with it, which is still very valuable. And since quite a few of our parents have to choose between paying for internet or a cell phone bill, because we find that often, especially in the winter months. So maybe over the summer, our parents have cell phones, they have access to Wi-Fi, and then come October, usually, when winter's about to kick in, a lot of them have been maybe, their partners have been laid off because they've had very precarious employment through the season. So they have to decide, do I have Wi-Fi in the home, or do I use my cell phone and have a cell phone bill? A lot of them decide that they're going to have Wi-Fi because it gives them so much more access than a cell phone would. So they can access Wi-Fi with their cell phones. So then I actually have more moms that I have to connect with via Messenger on Facebook for attendance to group, etc. For those months. So it really helps them. And I asked them how they felt about Facebook and Messenger and them coming to group, and this is what they shared. That they said that they only needed Wi-Fi to communicate. They didn't have to worry about having a cell phone, an active cell phone. They have created group moms thread in Messenger. So I noticed they did this just before Christmas. They created a thread where they included all the moms in the group that were currently attending, and they were sending each other well wishes, Merry Christmas, etc. But then also sharing about, oh my goodness, my son's doing this today, or I'm really struggling with this, why are the kids doing this? And then they send each other a lot of information, support, super supportive of each other. And some of them are quieter, and then some of them are just more active on there, but they're all included, which I was really proud that they did that. It also allows them to stay connected while they're away from group, so that it keeps them engaged. So they want to come to group. So they'll say, oh, I have this, the kids have grown out of this, or I'm no longer using this item, is anybody interested in it? And then they always comment, and then they can bring that item or those items to group, and they share them with each other. And so having them create online a space where they can all share with each other really helps them to stay connected to group. Even though they're not talking specifically about group, it just gives them an avenue to communicate and then say, okay, well, I'll meet you at group, which is great. They share links to helpful and interesting mom resources. And they included me in that as well. And although I am super quiet on it, I see what they put in there. And the only time I actually engage with it is if somebody has a question that I can specifically answer. So if there's a resource they need or a specific piece of information that they're looking for and I can connect them to it, I'll post a link in that thread and then they can access it. So I don't really engage with them in it, but they want me a part of it so that if there's anything I can contribute or add, then I can do that part. It facilitates relationship building and trust. So they said that they wouldn't include me if they didn't trust me, which is great. I'm glad that they trust me. But also builds trust among them, each other as well, and relationship building. It's been really nice to see how they do that. And it promotes the group. So Facebook and Messenger, and having the freedom, I would say, and liberty to be able to connect with me or other group participants that way makes them feel less isolated. And in the geographic area we live in and how isolated some of our families actually are, that has meant a world of difference to many of them. So I realize now that social media, although it has its definitely downsides, and they talk about that as well, it has been a lifesaver for many of them through this group. So as the facilitator and a coordinator for the groups, technology and social media for me has been a huge success as far as communication with participants. The cell phone initially, and that's still my main mode of communication with them. It's been wonderful. It's an easy way for possible participants to contact me with questions, and for me to share eligibility requirements. I give permission to the current participants to share the number if they want. So if, and word of mouth is huge up here. So if the group is good, the moms will share that with other moms. And if the group hasn't been going so well, then others will will hear that as well. So they actually text me and say, oh, I know a mom who would be really good for the group, or I think she really needs it. Is it okay for me to give her the cell phone number? And I always say yes, absolutely. I may or may not hear from them, but I always give that permission out. It allows participants to share about a potentially embarrassing or private issue without anyone else hearing. And it allows me to connect them to resources without a potentially abusive partner knowing, and it helps them to feel safer. So I actually have had this happen where a mom messaged me privately after a group one day, and she had said that it was about her relationship, and she didn't know how to manage it, and she knew that her partner needed help around a specific area for himself. And so I sent her a bunch of links to local agencies and gave her, and I actually called them as well. And I said, I have a mom, these are her concerns, can you help? And they said, absolutely, this is the number, here's a contact name. So I could message her on Facebook or text it to her, and nobody would know any different. So it's a much safer way than getting a phone call, because then nobody knows that she's getting the information. It causes the groups to feel more up to date or modern. So social media it's not going away. Technology, as in cell phones and what they allow us to do in life now, that's not going to go away either. So it helps the group to feel more connected to how society is running right now, and that the group is actually maybe not at par completely, but at least it's coming there, and it's helping to feel more connected with the rest of society. It has made the wide geographic area that we cover seem a bit smaller due to the ability to connect at any time. So again, as I shared, some of our families are very, very isolated. And so for them to be able to reach out and have a short conversation with someone around, oh, I'm struggling with this today, or the baby's been up all night and I'm just so overwhelmed. Just to have a short conversation, a texting or message conversation with one of the moms, just to support her, send her some helpful information, and to let her know that she's doing great and that she's going to get through it. I've actually had moms say, oh my gosh, thank you so much, that helped me. And if a woman can't attend but needs support, it's amazing, like I said, what a short supportive text or message conversation can do for her self-esteem and confidence. So again, as I have said, being able to connect without having to make a phone call. So if we're texting, all of a sudden baby wakes up or baby's fussing, they can stop the texting and then come back to it. And I always just leave it up to them. I don't make them feel pressured or that they have to respond. I leave it always in their court. And what I don't do, because I know that there's limitations to what I should be doing as far as technology and social media with my groups. And oftentimes I think that it's difficult to know, because it could be a gray area. And sometimes it's tricky to navigate that to ensure that we're not crossing professional boundaries. So I do not participate in any of my participants' personal life events, even those posted online. So I've had, you know, the Facebook shopping parties. I've been invited to those. I decline and then just send them a message saying, thank you so much for the invite, but this is a conflict of interest for me. I don't show any partiality or favoritism toward any participants. Although sometimes if one participant is much more chatty or approaches me more often, that may look like I'm, you know, paying more attention to one or a few participants in particular. But I always make sure that I connect with each one as they come in for the group, and to make sure that I know that I see that you're here. I'm so happy that you came. I hold the baby while they're getting settled, etc. So they always know that I'm available, I'm here. But some of them are quieter than others, and that's okay. I never step outside of my professional obligations and boundaries. So the group knows that for the most part, I don't respond to text messages or Facebook messages after hours. That can be if I happen to glance at my Facebook messages and I notice that one of the moms has messaged me, I'll glance at it. And if it's nothing that I think is like that I have to respond to, I won't. But if I think that she may be in a little bit of a crisis and she doesn't know what to do or who to call, I might send her a quick link to something. So that in and of itself, I mean, I've done that, I think, over the last 4.5 years twice. And it was just a situation where we just got kicked because we have families living with their immediate families. So I had a couple message me and say, we just got kicked out of my mom's house and we don't know where to go. So then I did a quick search and said, okay, these are the numbers you can call, or these are agencies that can help you, and these are emergency, you know, after hours numbers that you can call. So, you know, I guess maybe for some, it may seem like that's crossing a line, but some of our families are just in such a situation where they feel like when they're in panic mode, and I think all of us can kind of relate to it, that your mind gets blurred and you don't know where to look and you don't know who to call. So for me to send them a quick link, it's like 30 seconds of my time and away they go. And I don't delete any messages or texts ever. So my executive director knows that, like, I came across some of my messages that I received like in 2017 when I first started, and I was clearing out my stuff, taking out my personal stuff out, and then came across a Facebook message. It's like, oh, okay, that's an old participant. And even though there was nothing on it that would have been any red flags, it's very, very important to me to know that any communication I've had with any participants in the past is always there, so that there's never anything hidden, so to speak, or anything that I would look like I'm trying to hide. So it's always there, always available. So there's ever any question about any communication I've had, I have not deleted it, and it's there. And then we can have a conversation about it, because all of the information and all of the messages we've sent is completely saved. So that is, for the most part, everything that I do. I'm sure you have questions about other things or about how I went about to do this possibly, but I am very open to whatever questions you might have. So I really, really am happy to have done this today.
Well, thank you, Margie. Margie?
Yep.
Oh, there you are. Okay. Your camera went off for a second there. Okay, so I just wanted to thank Margie, and I wanted to reiterate where Margie is coming from. Margaret Shelley has worked at Search Community Services for over 4 years as the coordinator for CAPC and CPNP, as well as many other initiatives, including developing a breastfeeding support program, inspirational training modules and workshops, as well as Schools Cool. Her passion always rests with facilitating the best possible outcome for everyone she has the opportunity to connect with. She has her social service worker diploma, is a certified life coach, and has her infant mental health certification, and recently obtained her family mediation certification. So again, thank you, Margie. I don't know if you can read some of the questions that 2 participants, well, 3 now, questions and comments that a few participants have made. Can you read the questions, Margie?
Okay, so
I thought we could go by when they were first posted. So there's Katie G, then Leigh Gibson, and Katie G and Leigh Gibson again, and at the end there's Maureen. So I thought maybe we could go through those.
Okay.
Ladies, Katie G, if you want to unmute yourself and put your camera on, you're welcome to do so. You don't have to. And then Maureen, and you can converse.
Sure.
I would suggest reading the question.
Okay, so I'm going to read the question for you. So are participants encouraged to use drugstore vouchers to purchase prenatal vitamins or vitamin D, or is this funded separately?
So for our pregnant moms, or even if we have a mom who just had her baby and wants to continue taking prenatal vitamins, we actually give those for free. So we will give her a voucher that the pharmacy is familiar with that says that she gets free prenatal vitamins. The vitamin D, again, would be covered under the discount. That's not something we give away for free necessarily, but that would be something that they would give a discount for.
Okay, thank you. The next question is, we have 3 core, this is from Leigh Gibson, we have 3 core programs under CAPC, one of which is prenatal. And 1 core program under CPNP, prenatal as well. Our staff had recently decided to amalgamate our Facebook pages to be all under 1 page. We had one for all and one with a CPNP focus. Leigh is wondering if this sounds like a good idea, or if perhaps they should look at having a page for prenatal programs, CAPC and CPNP, and a page for postnatal programs, just CAPC.
I think that you could easily ask your participants. So how much do they actually engage and look at those pages for information? If they don't look all that often, maybe it's a good idea just to amalgamate them and then have all the information on one site instead of having to worry about multiple sites where you post stuff. I mean, ours aren't very active, but they haven't said that they hardly ever look. So I've kept it separate for now. It may be something that I actually amalgamate in the future. The opportunity is there. And I think the main reason why I kept them separate for now is because I post events on both sites or both pages that are specific to that group. So that if somebody is attending CAPC, they can go to that Facebook page and see what are the topics coming up, so that they wouldn't have to filter through which group is having which agency come in to visit, et cetera, et cetera. So that's the main reason why I've separated them, to post separate events and links to separate information, but it could be very easily amalgamated. And I would say that whatever works for your group, you do that.
Okay. Then the next question is also from Katie. You were speaking at one point, this was during when you were describing the cell phone usage, I believe. So Katie, correct me if I'm wrong. You can chat or again unmute yourself, Katie. She's asking if the groups are closed or public.
The pages are public, so anybody could look at it. I don't post any information on them. If I was ever going to post a picture, we have the moms who are willing to sign a waiver. Like might post something about a celebration, or if a child has made some really cute craft, or has painted themselves. We had one child paint themselves purple while nobody was looking. So silly things like that. So that's actually public. But the group itself, like we do have Facebook group where anybody wants to share something private just within the group, but it just hasn't happened. They created their own message thread on Messenger, and that's how they share within each other. So the pages themselves are public. Anybody can look at them. They aren't super active, but yeah, our moms do look at them.
Okay. So next question. If the cell phone is an organizational phone, does the phone go to another staff person to do the same thing if you are away? So basically, are you sharing your phone?
Yeah. So, I mean, if I'm going away to a conference, I take the phone with me and I'll check it when I'm on a break. Or if I'm at meetings, I'll just wait till I'm done my meeting to check it. If I'm going away on a holiday or vacation time, then for sure I leave it with somebody and leave directions on how to, because every cell phone's kind of unique and different, instructions on how to, start it and respond and et cetera, et cetera. That doesn't happen too often, maybe twice a year I leave it with someone. And again, if I happen to be sick and I don't have the phone with me, I just apologize later and say, hey guys, I was ill for a couple of days. Sorry, I didn't get back to you. Because that happens, that's life. So, yeah.
Okay. So just a few more questions. And we're doing great on time, by the way. Thank you, Margie, for that. So then here, this is a comment from KDG. Sounds like you're making these moms feel well supported. Do you encourage moms with questions regarding feeding, sleep, etc., to connect with your local public health nurses?
Absolutely. So with our CPNP group, we have a public health nurse that attends every Friday. So she's always available if they have questions. And also the information that I post on the pages, a lot of them have links to the local health unit. Or our articles from a health unit website. So definitely, I connect them with whatever resource would best suit them. And I never give them information based on what I think. If it's something that I think needs specific intentioned answers that are very, very important, I just direct them immediately to somebody I know that could help them better.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So let's start. KDG saying thank you. So Maureen McMillan, I love the idea of using texting as a means of connecting with people. It's non-invasive and so easy for participants, especially useful in rural areas.
Yeah, just like ours. I can't say enough about what it has meant to our moms to be able to just text me. Some of them might get part-time work. But they don't want to stay disconnected from the group. So they may text me once in a while, or they'll ask to remain part of the message feed because they know that the work that they're doing is short-lived, so they're going to be able to come back. So it just keeps everyone engaged, and so that you can ensure that anything that you can do for them, that they're still available to you. And you're available for them.
Thank you. And then the last comment and question is, this is from Bobby Joe, am I understanding correctly in that the majority of the interactions with clients are completed through Messenger and not through the page itself?
Correct. So they might look on the page to see what the upcoming events are, or just to get, I put funny stuff or inspirational stuff up there. But if they have specific questions, they always message me because that's completely private. So they might, I have, very rare, but I have had somebody post a question to say, oh, where's this? And because they believe that maybe it's not just them looking for specific information, so then I'll post a link and then anybody can see that. Or if there's been a recall on something that maybe a lot of the moms use, they might post that. And that's great, because then they're sharing information that everybody can benefit from. But for majority of the time, they do message me privately on Facebook Messenger.
Thank you. Thank you for answering everybody's questions. and other people are also thanking you. So this pretty much ends our webinar today, but before we stop the recording and say goodbye to everybody, I would like to invite everybody to join us for the next webinar, Fathering in New Land with Brian Russell, on March 19th at 1 p.m. And also, I'd like to invite everybody to send Sydney Bell an email or, an email. What would you like to learn about? Do you have an idea for an upcoming webinar? So again, please contact Sydney. And thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
Stop recording.